That is a massive, massive carp. In this masterclass, you join me at Crete Lakes in France, where I'll be teaching you how to effectively build a hit of fish over a period of time. Through accuracy, consistency, and being prepared, you will catch more carp than the guy next door. Welcome to the Big Hit Masterclass.
Rob is known for his big hit style of fishing. He's won competitions both in Europe and back home, proving that his techniques and driven style works wherever you take it. His ability to create an environment where the fishing becomes effortless always amazes me. If fishing was an Olympic sport, he'd be right at the top.
Big hit fishing to me is all about making the most out of your opportunities. So when you're at the end of your session, you can walk away thinking, do you know what? I fished bloody hard, I put maximum effort in, and I've caught as many as I possibly could. And you can't achieve that without being prepared. You have to be prepared for this style of fishing. I want to walk away at the end of the session knowing I have put 110% effort in, I've maximised all my opportunities during the bite times, I've got the rod back out there every time, I'm spomming accurately, I enjoy the mental side of it, I enjoy the preparation side of it. Now, leading up to any session, you want to be prepared, you want to get your food in order, you want to get your terminal tackle in order, but to me, I am always concentrating on my rigs. I want to make sure I've got enough rigs and more to cover me for the entirety of my session. And 3 or 4 days before I go, I'm sitting there while the missus is watching some crap TV, I've got a food tray in front of me, and I'm there tying rigs, And as long as I've got 30 sort of IQD rigs tied up, I've got 30 little spinner rigs tied up, I've got 30 solid bag rigs tied up, I'm prepared. And if it is on, I can really make the most out of each bite time. There's many lakes that offer this style of fishing, whether you're home and abroad. You've got the Norton Disney Complex, Linear Complex, lakes that hold big stock of carp that you can go down there and you can catch, a dozen fish in a session and big ones as well. Crete Lakes is a 5-lake complex. All the lakes here are absolutely rammed with carp. Now we're going to be fishing Lake 5, which is 30 acres in size, and it's shaped like an hourglass. You've got a deeper end and you've also got a slightly shallower end. The deeper end ranges around the sort of 12-13 foot mark, and the shallow end sort of 4 to 6s. Now like I said, there's a lot of carp in here. Well over 800 and a lot of big ones. There are hundreds over 40 pound and they go in excess of 70 pound. And this is the sort of venue where if you get tactics right, you really can get a big hit of fish.
With the wind blowing a warm southwesterly up towards the shallow end of the lake, I headed over to swim 57. As I arrived, within a few minutes, the fish showed me exactly where to cast. In spring, it's common for them to be visiting these areas more often as the sun begins to make more of an appearance.
Now, just like the beginning of any session, it's important to know exactly what you're fishing over so you can get the correct rigs for the right situation. I'm using a 4-ounce probe lead, I've got the marker braid and 30 pound armour cord just to take all that sting out the initial cast. After several casts at about 100-yard range, exactly where that fish jumped out, it became very apparent that there wasn't actually much out there, as in features. I was getting a good drop on the rod, but no real gravel sensation for the rod tip. It was just nice and smooth. And in them situations, the bait becomes the feature. During this session, I'll be using a boilie-only approach. Now, the rules here at Crete Lake do say it's a boilie-only venue. But that doesn't mean I'm just going to get a load of 15mm boilies, throw them in and hope for the best. With this sort of big hit style of fishing, I want to keep the fish rooting around in my swim as long as possible so I can catch as many as possible. With that in mind, I'm going to use sort of mainly a crumb type mix. Now all I've done is thrown a load of 10mm link in the crusher and grinded it down to quite a fine crumb. Once I've got enough for say about, 12-15 spoms, I've added a load of the fish smart liquid. I've added a little bit of hot water to the smart liquid just to loosen it up so it really gets around that crumb enriched with all that smart liquid. And to finish it off, I'm going to be using yellow hook baits majority of the time. So what I've also done, which I've done very well here in the past, is add a few handfuls of 10mm essential cell. Essentially, these essential cell boilies are going to sort of be my little hook baits, okay? The fish are going to come along, they're going to get a little bit of crumb, they're going to pick out a little yellow hook bait, not get hooked. Now my little yellow pop-up doesn't seem too alien, so that's the reason behind the little 10mm essential cell. The rig I'm going to start with is a very simple spinner rig presentation on a helicopter system, a rig that I use loads at home, and when I come to France I'm equally as confident. The leader I'm using is a 50cm dark matter heli-safe leader, and I've placed my bead about 2 inches up the leader itself. I've got a nice big lead on there, a 3 3/4 distance lead. The boom material I'm using is 20 pound IQ2. And I've done a 3-turn grinner knot to a size 11 PTFE ring swivel, and at the other end I've crimped it to a PTFE spinner swivel. A little bit of putty moulded round that crimp to ensure the putty doesn't move on the cast. The hook is a very sharp size 4 wide gape Kamakura, and I've got my little hook bead there right on the bend of the hook. Now the all important hook bait is one I've caught absolute bundles on recently, and it's a little pineapple and isotonic goo infused pop-up in 12mm. Super buoyant, it's going to pop that size 4 hook up for at least 2 or 3 days. Hopefully it won't take that long to get a bite. So on 2 rods, I've gone for my pineapple and isotonic, and on the 3rd rod, I've gone for something slightly different, a little 12mm pink almond pop-up. So I get these on the money, and see who goes first.
For ease of casting and a need for low stretch line, I was spooled up with 15-pound long chuck. The rods were placed at 24 wraps towards a dip in the trees on the horizon. Following that, I baited up with 12 spoms of crushed link and whole essential cell boilies, which should be enough to entice a bite.
That looks like it's going to be a wet one today. Bit black over there. Holding its own under the rod tip. Oh, I'm shaking so much from the cold, I might shake this one off. I wasn't quite sure what I was attached to in the middle of the pond. It just came swimming straight towards me. Now once under the rod tip, it's really woken up. I think we're starting to win here. One over the net cord. Get in. Oh, and if I'm not mistaken, it's the pineapple isotonic. It is. Yes. We got one, Lou. It's cold. It's cold days.
With it being so cold, I could easily just jump back into the bag till first light. But once I'm up, and getting the rods re-wrapped, the hook changed and a fresh pop-up on is the main thing on my mind. The more you move about, the warmer you will get, and the quicker you will get the rod back out, which will increase the chance of you getting another bite.
First night success, and it is lovely to be off the mark. This one caught on a little pineapple and isotonic goo infused pop-up on the spinner rig over about 12 spoms of that link bait, chops, halves and crumb, all infused in that smart liquid. I was hoping for a few more, but while I was up sorting this fish here out, I did hear quite a few fish, albeit not on me. There was far more to the right hand side in that channel area. And now I walked down to that channel area this morning and there was bubbles everywhere, a real good sign that they had a little party down there last night and I wasn't invited. So I'm thinking a move is on the cards, even though I've caught this fish here. Now I know these lakes very well and I know when you're on them, you're on them. And at the minute, it doesn't feel like I'm on the mother lode. So I'm gonna put this lovely mirror back, I'm gonna start packing some kit away, and I think a move is a must.
In the spring, fish can move around quite a lot, and me moving over to peg 39 should give me a better vantage point to angle for the fish in the centre of the lake. Using the same discipline as I used when I first arrived, I set about finding the best possible spot to present my rigs. I opted for 2 rods on one spot and a third on a separate spot to maximise my chances. With me splitting my rods up, I needed to modify my single system slightly. For my 2 rod setup, I went for 5-inch uprights at the front with a 5-inch bar and 6.5-inch uprights at the back with a 4.5-inch bar. For my single rod on the left, I used 2 5-inch uprights connected to a ground spike. I also chose to use a passion fruit goo pop-up for something different on the middle rod.
Now, one thing I always do, which is really important to keep your accuracy and make sure that you're fishing over your baited area, especially in a deep situation. I'm pretty lucky here, it's only sort of 7 or 8 foot, so I'm not really needing to drop my spod rod any shorter than my fishing rods. But if you ever find yourself in a situation when you are fishing in deep water, like I fished Gigantica in the past, and the average depth is sort of 20 foot plus, is I use the rule of thirds to work out how far to drop my spod rod in relation to my fishing rods. It's very simple. For every 3 foot of water that I'm fishing in, I will drop my spod rod 1 foot shorter. And a simple way to do it is, if it's 21 foot deep, for instance, I'll literally go 3 foot, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. I will drop my spod rod 7 foot shorter than my fishing rods. This will keep you accurate and make sure that you're fishing over your bait at all times. Well, that's the last few spoms of bait out there, and yeah, they've gone out there absolutely perfect. The rods also went out lovely, got lovely drops on both the areas, and yeah, if the activity was half as much as it was last night, we were on them. There's a lot of fish in this zone yesterday evening and throughout the night, and yeah, I'm feeling confident. I've made a few changes also. Now, I had that bite last night on the yellow hook bait, the pineapple and isotonic. So off the back of that result, I've got all 3 rods now on yellows, 2 with pineapple and isotonic and 1 with passion fruit and isotonic. Same rigs, same spinner rigs, same helicopter systems. And yeah, it's just a matter of waiting now. And in the next couple of days, you know, working out when bite time is, when to bait, when to recast, when to rest a swim maybe. You know, all these things now are really, really key on building up a hit. Well, good morning. We've finally got one. I say finally because it's been one frustrating night. Liners all night long. Now, whether that's fish on the bait or fish just passing through this sort of thinner channel of the lake, is another question. But yeah, I've been up and down and expecting it to happen, but it finally has. And yeah, this one has absolutely shot off this morning. I've only just gained what it took off of me, to be honest with you. Real powerful fish. You know, if you was new to France or new to coming to France, you'd think you need to beef up your tackle loads, and I'm still using the same little rods that I do back at home, just my 3.5 pound Kaizens, and you know, I'm only fishing 17 wraps out, so there's no big chucks. And when you do hook a big one, like we've got now, you really have got a lovely bend in the rod to play these fish at close quarters. With so many big ones in Crete Lakes, on all the lakes, you just never know what's attached on the end. This one's going a little bit left now, and I've got a set of snags to my left also, so I'm gonna come to the end of the jetty, just get a better angle to grab my net. That coot did not like that at all. He's been messing around near my spot and diving a little bit the last couple of hours, but he's just popped up now and flew straight across back into the margin, so maybe there's a few absolute monster carp still on the spot. Absolutely bang on my spot. Wow. Well, all them liners last night, that may have been fish feeding. That is an incredible sight, and one that makes me very, very happy. Right, oh my God, that's a big one. That's a good fish. Right, this could be our opportunity now. That is such a big carp. Slowly, slowly to the net. Come on, girl. Like a dog on a lead. Over my net cord. That has only just fitted in my net. Oh my Lord. That is a massive, massive carp.
With fish in the area, it's important to get my net flagged up so I can quickly get the rod back out and capitalise on this feeding spell.
But it's so easy to get excited and not get the rod back out after landing an absolute monster. You know, you're taking pictures, calling your mates up. I've been there, I've done it, but it's so important to capitalise on these moments. You know, this little feeding period that we've got here, hopefully, may last a couple of hours, but where there's one absolute monster, there's several. So it's super important that I get a fresh hook on here, a fresh hook bait, I'm all wrapped up, and get this rod back into the action, because yeah, there's a very good chance for a bite, especially after seeing that one show. This is all about taking your time now, getting things absolutely bang on the money, and as well as enjoying the moment, trying to get another one or two. Go on, my left hand rod, that one. It's interesting. And keep that there. We're in, boys. Well, the mornings definitely seem to be where the action is at. And this one here is on the other spot. So I managed to get the other rod back out there super quick. And them two rods now are fishing over the area that I caught that absolute monster on. It's just residing in the net there. But now my left-hand rod, which is probably 50 yards to the left of this spot here, this fish is going left, so I need to get on the boards again. Well, them yellow hook baits are definitely getting picked out this morning. Now, these pop-ups, I've caught so many carp on them recently from everywhere back at home, and when you've got a sort of go-to pop-up that you're confident in, you know, a carp is a carp, and they will eat them anywhere. Here she comes. Fish number 2 of the morning. 2 different spots rocking. Yes. Get in. This is good. This is good. By flagging the net up, it means I'm completely hands-free now. I've not got to hold the rod, I've not got to hold the net. I can safely remove this hook in the water. Bottom lip hook hold again, absolutely perfect. More importantly, get this rod straight back out there.
When fishing in spring, the weather can be extremely unpredictable. It can rain in an instant, and in these moments it's important to push through no matter what, because the next fish could be a fish of a lifetime.
Bringing the correct and wearing the correct clothing is essential to keep warm, keep dry, so you keep fishing effectively. Now during the spring, I will generally wear my combat trousers. They're very light, which keeps me mobile, and they're also very warm. I've always got on a t-shirt obviously, and over the top of that during the days, because it can still get warm, a lightweight hoodie. In the evenings, it can still get cold and temperatures do often dip to the minus temperatures. So having the hybrid jacket not only keeps me warm, but keeps me able to spawn with accuracy because of the lightweight sleeves added to it. My dry core jacket is always next to me. The downpours can happen of an instant. Again, keeping dry, getting the rods back out quickly is essential to me, so making sure that is to hand is key. Last but no means least, footwear. At this time of the year, it is damp. It's damp in the mornings. Keeping dry feet is imperative. The combat boot suits this situation perfectly. You want a good waterproof, comfy boot that is good in all terrains.
When safely transporting fish to the bank, a sling is essential, and having the springbow landing net flagged up will also make this a lot easier. First, zero the empty wet sling to ensure accurate weighing. Next, break down the net while in the water and slide the fish safely into the sling. Finally, check the fins are flush against the body of the fish before lifting out onto the mat.
That's 29.10. Oh my word. What an incredible result. 68 pounds and 11 ounces of absolute tank. I honestly didn't expect them this big, but it just goes to show you when you get everything right, monsters like this are achievable. On the passion fruit and isotonic pop-up, on my little spinner rig, a rig that I use at home all the time. You know, I was only catching 20 pounds at Norton Disney on this last week, and now I'm in Crete Lakes catching 68 pounders. I am absolutely blown away. Well, before I got the pictures done, the spot went a little bit quiet, so I topped it up with 10 spoms on each spot, and hopefully this afternoon we'll get another chance of an absolute monster. That is massive. Well, as you can imagine, I am absolutely made up. 68 pound on the second morning, that really is a dream come true. You know, you come to France hoping, wishing for a big one, and to get one almost straight away, you know, we're there. We've got our spots rocking now. We've got 2 different areas that are doing fish, so we're halfway to sort of like puzzling it all together. But it does feel like the bite time potentially has sort of faded away, and you will get periods of the day or the night when things go a little bit slow. But that doesn't mean we can just sit on our phones and hope for the best. You know, this is a good time to do a bit more rig prep. Now, I know I'm gonna be not switching from the spinner rigs. They're doing the job, my yellow pop-ups are getting the bites, so now I'm gonna do even more prep. You know, I'm gonna get my hooks, I'm gonna mount some little bit of shrink tubing on it, get my swivels on there, I'm gonna get my hook beads on there, so when I do get a fish now, I'm even more efficient. You know, I can pull them out the hook safe, pop them on a spinner swivel, little blob of a lighter, and we're back out fishing even quicker. Morning. Once again, we are attached to a carp at 7:30 AM. Another very frustrating night, loads of liners, but no pickups. But being in tune with your bite time has definitely helped me get this fish, because I see it all so often. People get up in the morning, recast the rods, rebait, you know, and if bite time is at 7:30, 8 o'clock, a couple of hours after sunrise, you could easily be messing your chances up. Thankfully I got up. Instead of picking up the spod rod, I picked up my kettle, made a nice cup of tea, and sat on my hands. And the result of that, another carp. Oh, that's another one. We've got a double take. Wow. Well, there you go. Bite time is bite time. These things happen, especially when you're fishing 2 on a spot, 3 on a spot. When the situation where we are now, where we've got both spots rocking, there's always a chance that this can happen. The most important thing is to worry about the fish you are connected to first. It's really important that we get this one in, but there's a few things we can do to help get the other one in too. If you've got a friend on hand, brilliant. If there's a lad next door, give him a shout. If you're on your own and no one is to hand, all you need to simply do is tighten up the drag on the rod that's still on the rod rest. Leave that fish to kite on a tight line. If you've got a barbed hook on, the chances are that fish will stay hooked until this one is in the net and I pick it back up. If you're in a barbless lake, again, I really recommend a crank or a wide gate like we're using now. These beaked point hooks will definitely land you more carp and keep carp on when you're on a barbless venue. The one thing not to do is pick up both rods, because guess what? You can't reel in that situation, and before you know it, you've got one rod or both rods with a slack line going to the fish. This will result in a hook pull, and before you know it, you've lost both of them. Slowly, slowly to the net. Come on, you big, big, big carp. Come on, baby. Yes, that is another monster. Oh, get this fish safely. And let's get the other rod. Well, this fish being on still, after probably 10 minutes, is a testament to how good the wide gapes are. That beaked point is without a shadow of a doubt going to help me land this fish. If you're an avid viewer of the Monster Carp series, Dovey especially loves his crank hooks, them beaked point hooks. You know, they really do help in situations when you're getting double and triple takes. One now is kiting into open water. Now if it's been a straight point hook, yes, they go in very efficiently, but they also come out very efficiently. Or a wide gape or a crank, they go in awkward, which means they've got to come out awkward. So yeah, if you're heading to a lake with barbless rules, definitely get on the wide gape or a crank pattern hook. This one here seems has gone underneath my left hand rod, so just going to play nip one, pearl one. Now, if you ever find yourself in a situation when you're playing a fish, the fish has started to kite and it's now kited underneath one of your other lines and that alarm is bleeping, there's a few things you need to do to ensure that you're not going to get yourself in a tangle. Number one is stay calm. Nothing bad is going to happen. And all you need to do is simply pass the rod that you're playing the fish on underneath the rod that is bleeping. This will then bring you in direct contact again with the fish and away from the other line. And while I'm here, I'll grab an extra net. Oh, as one boshes over my left-hand spot. Wow. What an incredible start to the morning. A brace of absolute chunks. Get in. Wow. I am so glad I sat on my hands this morning with a cup of tea rather than grabbing the spod rod or reeling the rods in.
Making the most of this morning period is key to building a big hit. Getting the rod back out quickly and efficiently meant I was able to go on and catch a further 2 fish.
Over the net. Yes. What a morning. Get in, that is a cracker. You know what I'm gonna say? I need to get this rod back out. Yes. During this session, I've been using the Springbow landing net, and I'll tell you what, it is one fantastic, well-made, engineered bit of kit. The first thing you'll notice is how incredibly light it is. A few other key features that make it stand out amongst other landing nets is the ground spike. Now, this spike is a stainless spike which helps you flag style the net up. And what I mean by that is using the rear end stainless spike to dig it into the silt and leave the fish in the net while I get the rods back out. Along with other features like the net will float without the need of any buoyancy aids, all helps in me getting more fish into my net and getting my rods back out into the water with quickness, speed and ease. What an incredible morning's fishing. This one here, the biggest of 4 fish at just over 52 pounds. Commons of 47, a mirror of 44 and also another common of 32 graced my net. And sitting on my hands this morning, oh, she's a big girl, was the key to all these results. You know, you could quite easily get up in the morning, grab the spod rod, bring the rods in to rebait. It's not the one. I knew bite time was 7:30. I got up, made a brew, waited for it to happen, and they came along. Tell you what, that passion fruit and isotonic goo seems to pull the bigger ones out. It's a 68 and a 52 on it now. And what an incredible Creek Lakes 5 fish this is. With 3 nights to go, this could be a good session. Look at that. Well, what an incredible morning it has been. A 30, 2 40s and a 50 pounder. I will take that all day long, and we're progressing each morning as well. Now the first morning we had 1, we moved, we had 2, and now we're getting 4. So it's all moving in the right direction. But it's so important not to get lazy now. Everything must go out like it did on day 1, which is perfect. Them 12, 15 spoms that I'm putting out in the evening, they're not getting fed on without a shadow of a doubt until that 7:30 period. And the rigs I'm putting out there, I know that when I put them out there at 5 in the evening, they're still fishing absolutely perfect come 7:30. Now when pop-up fishing, just like I am now, which is a very good spring tactic, you need to know that your pop-up is staying popped up over a good period of time. I'm talking like 24 hours. Test them at home, test them in a tank, test them in a bucket to ensure that they stay up. Now I'm using a size 4 hook with these little 12mm pop-ups, and that's quite a big hook for a small bait, and that just goes to show how buoyant these pop-ups are. Now Mainline donate these to Embryo, that's where I got them from, and in-house we goo them up with all different types of goo. We've got the pineapple and isotonic, we've got some with buttercorn, some with squid, and this session I've had a little play with the passion fruit and isotonic, which has actually picked out some of the better fish. But more importantly, they stay up, even when I've flooded them with lots of goo. So it's really important, whatever pop-up you use, it pops up that size 4 or size hook you're using. Now the bait that I've been using during this session is a bait that I'm extremely confident with. As I mentioned, I've fished creek lakes a fair bit in the past and I know they absolutely love the link at all times of the year. Now that we're getting into the later stage of the week, I'm slowly running out of the freezer bait boilies that I brought with me. But thankfully now mainline have a shelf life option that is exactly the same as the freezer range. So I'll be using the link and the essential cell in a shelf life boilie. But these shelf life boilies are not packed full of preservatives like many other ready-made baits on the market. There's a very clever air drying system that mainline use to preserve their baits over a long period of time. So I can guarantee that the bait I was using at the beginning of the session is just as good as the bait I'll be using towards the end of the session. Now last night I was getting a hell of a lot of liners, which is nice. It's nice to know you've got fish in front of you, but at the same time, if them fish keep bumping into your lines, they eventually won't like it and they will vacate the area. So I made the decision to put a little flying back lead on my left down rod, the rod that was getting the majority of the liners. That stopped the liners and I also got a couple of bites on that rod as well. So tonight I'm going to put the little flying back leads on all 3 rods and this could make a 1 fish difference. But that 1 fish could be the biggest fish in the lake. Now when fishing backleads or flying backleads like I am in this situation, it's important that you do so in the right situation. It's no good if you've got a lot of weed, snags, lily pads between you and where you're fishing, because that only hinder your line presentation and also you landing fish. You do not want to get line on the bottom if you've got snags, bars, lilies, weed or any debris on the bottom. Well, this is unusual. Not normally used to getting up in the middle of the night for a fish, but we will certainly take it, and it's things moving in the right direction, hopefully. Putting the little back leads on, solved the liner problem. I've had a couple of bleeps, but it has got a bit windy. Let's get the net. Thank you very much, night bite. Get in there. Yes, that's a good start, that is. Very good start. Well, bite time may be a little bit late this morning. It's probably about 8:30 now. But this one could not resist. The little passion fruit and ice tonic pop-up, where I've had not so many fish on me this morning yet. The coots have been fairly active on my spot. It was only 10 minutes ago that I actually got picked up on my left down rod from a coot and that duck. I was just redoing it, sums that up, when this one here finally went. And at first I did think it was another coot, but thankfully the carp have turned up and by the looks of it, pushed the coots off. You know, when you've got less fish on the area, the coots are definitely more happy diving, and my little yellow hook bait stands out amongst all that crumb very, very well. But it works both ways. Just like the carp, when they come onto the spot, they're picking up the yellows, and same with the wildlife as well. Instead of picking up the crumb, he's beelining straight for my yellow pop-up. One thing that never leaves my rucksack is my tufty torch, especially in spring when the water clarity is a lot more clearer and more anglers are visiting the lakes, more bait going in. The coots can really have a field day, but my little tufty torch, it really does spook them off the area. so I'm fishing as effectively as possible. But sometimes you can use the coots to your advantage as well. They often hover over the spot, and if they don't like what they see, as in big carp surrounding the area, they will often look down and think, I'm not diving over that, I'll try again in a little while, and shoot off. So they can become a very good indicator if you've got fish on the spot as well. This one here, I reckon, is just about ready for the back of the net. Lovely. Get in there. Beautiful. Well, there's no rods now on that spot, and bite time is slowly running out. So I'm gonna get this one unhooked and get both them rods back out there fishing. Because as I mentioned, where there's one, there's often several. Just need to remind myself that this is still bite time. Although it's an hour late, you could quite easily start spomming in this situation and maybe miss out on one more extra bite. I'm sure there's still plenty of crumb out there from last night's spomming. The last thing I want to do is ruin any chances I have over the next half an hour or so. It's much more important in this situation to get rods back out on the money. And that's exactly what I need to do. Another proper chunky Crete Lakes mirror. I had this one last night and a lovely common this morning. What a lovely fish. The rig I've been using during this session is the spinner rig. Now there's no question about it how popular and how effective the spinner rig has become over the last few years, and rightly so. It is a fantastic rig, not just for a pop-up, but as a wafter. It's very quick change and extremely effective at hooking the fish. Now I've had this on a helicopter presentation, and the main reason behind this is the bottom I'm fishing on. Before the start of any session, it is paramount I know what I'm fishing on. That way I can choose the correct rig. Now after several casts, in 2 swims now, the bottom has been softish firm. But the main reason for the spinner rig is bright pop-ups. There's no two ways about it. Coming into spring, bright pop-ups come into their own. The fish are just waking up and all they want to see is a little bit of colour to home in on for their first mouthful of food. There's a few key features you can do to make your spinner rig even more effective. Choosing the correct boom material, having the correct boom lengths, making sure your pop-ups will stay popped up over a long period of time, and where you set your top bead on your helicopter system. Now I've been lucky enough to be fishing alongside Danny Fairbrass and Tom Stokes this winter at Norton Disney, and we've all got one thing in common, and that is our boom lengths. There's no two ways about it, that the boom length is key to not only making the rig effective, but your hook to land ratio. And we've definitely found between 4 and 5 inches of your boom length is the optimal length. Just in case you're not confident, simply don't have time or new to angling, we do have a spinner rig in a ready tied option. All of our ready tied rigs in the range are absolutely perfect, including the spinner rig, which I've caught countless carp on myself. To tie my version of the spinner rig, firstly we'll start with the leader. Now I'm using a 50cm dark matter heli-safe leader in green. And one thing to note what I do when removing it from the packet is leave it soaking in some warm water. This will ensure the leader sits lovely and flush on whatever the contours of the lake bed may be. Once the leader is nice and straight, I've removed the swivel that comes with the leader. This is a size 11 quick change swivel, and I replace this with a size 11 PTFE ring swivel. The reason behind this is I'm not changing my actual boom section when it comes to doing the quick change rig. I'm only changing the hook section if I do get a dull or blunt hook. To tie the all-important boom section, I prefer the 20-pound IQ2. I perform a 4-turn grinner knot to the size 11 PTFE ring swivel. I then take an extra small crimp and through one of the barrels pass the 20-pound IQ2. I then place on a size 11 PTFE spinner swivel. I then place the tag end of the 20 pound IQ2 through the spare side of the barrel of the extra small crimp, and then measure this off exactly 4.5 inches. This is then crimped down perfectly via a crimp tool. Once you're happy with your boom section, we then move on to the hook section. I'm using a size 4 wide gape Kamakura in barbless. Now, whenever I'm fishing a barbless venue like here at Crete Lakes or back at home at Norton Disney, I like to use a beaked point hook. There's no two ways about it that a beaked point hook will stay in more efficiently than a straight point hooked like a curve shank or a long shank. I then place on a micro hook ring swivel onto the hook. This is followed by a hook bead and then a small section of medium shrink tubing. About 3/4 of an inch is perfect. I then attach my hook onto my spinner swivel, covering this all up via the shrink tubing, so it sits half onto the hook and half onto the spinner swivel itself. I then get my lighter and melt this into place so it sets at the perfect angle. Now, where you set your hook bead is extremely important. I like mine just onto the bend. This will give me the perfect presentation once the rig is on the lake bed. Now, moving on to the all-important hook bait. And this is all down to personal choice and what is working on the day, and something that I do play with on a regular basis. Now, I've been doing extremely well on the pineapple and isotonics recently, and also the passion fruit and isotonics. But you can never go wrong with a pink almond, a pink squid. The banoffee is extremely effective, but the last few days, there's no two ways about it, that the passion fruit and isotonic has been the winning combination. Now, when fishing pop-ups, I do prefer a small pop-up. Anything around the sort of 11 to 13 mil. I've been using 12s, but you need to make sure they are super buoyant, but not super buoyant for a few hours. You need them super buoyant for a long period of time. I've been casting out in the evenings and been getting my bites the next morning. So it's no good my pop-up going out there perfectly in the evening. Come midnight, it's then a wafter. So make sure you test your pop-ups at home before leaving them out for a long period of time. Now, once your rig's complete, I then finish the rig off with a little bit of camo coat. This will stop the hook corroding once it's in the water, ensuring that your hook stays perfectly sharp, ready for when it's bite time. Well, bite time has come super early this evening. Didn't expect it one bit. Got the bait out there only literally half an hour ago. Up to 20 spoms. I have done for the last few evenings. And you know, they know the bait's there now. Oh no. We've got the mother of all storms. Literally probably 10 seconds away. We've been waiting for it to come. And maybe this is what that switched the fish on. Hopefully it will be a very busy night. Biblical weather and big carp. This is what it's about. Oh, lovely. Well, this weather has certainly switched them on. I've had very, very few bites outside of that bite time window in the morning. But this evening, the weather has been absolutely amazing for fishing. And 2 bites since baiting up literally an hour ago have come along, on this one on the opposite spot. So when you're on them on Crete Lakes, you can literally rack a few fish up very, very quickly. I only baited up literally 90 minutes ago, and I've had 2 fish, 1 from each spot. As the rain comes once again, the weather really is absolutely amazing for this time of the year, and often than not, a little storm can bring on the bites. Consistent baiting throughout the week, being super accurate, getting rigs bang on the money each time, the additional little back leads, all these things build up, and when it does switch on, you can have an absolute field day. We're going into the final night.
With only probably 18 hours left of this session and 2 fish in the bag already, hopefully we're going to have a very, very busy last night. Yeah. Oh, double take, isn't it? Double take, boys. Yep, snub on. Oh, you couldn't write it. I'm going to have to tighten that drag up a little bit. Little yellow pop up on the bottom lip, just where we like it. Get in there. And have a look what's going on with this one. Come off, didn't it? Well, this was a pleasant surprise. One of 2 very quick bites this evening. This one here, and also a lovely little mirror as well, which we slipped back. And it is all looking promising for a few more bites this evening. Getting a few liners, hearing a few fish out there, and with bite time almost certain in the morning, I reckon we'll be leaving with a few smiles on our faces. It didn't take long before I was back out of the bag and doing battle with yet another Crete Lakes carp.
That is a nice fish. Right, this rod's going back out.
With this night producing more bites than the rest, the grooves and the distance sticks played a vital role in making sure I was able to get the rods wrapped up efficiently and back out on the spot, ready for the morning spell.
Well, that was a busy old night. 2 fish in the evening and a really good one as well. We've still got a couple of hours left if we was being greedy. Looks like we're in for a wet pack up. What a mad night that is. Ah, the joys, eh? One more little shake of the head. Oh, yes. Get in. Thank you very much, Crete Lakes. Thank you very much. Get in. Carp everywhere. Just how I like it.
Hey, I've got one though.
Absolutely nailed on the Kamakuras, and that is another big one. I couldn't think of a better way to wake up in the morning. What an incredible way to finish off what has been a mega week. One of 9 fish last night, including a brace of 50-pounders, topped by this one at 52 pounds and 4 ounces. I've had to work hard, I've had to figure out the bite times, when to bait, when to rest, and when not to recast. And it all came good in the end. If you follow all my little tips and tricks that I've used along the way, the short hook links, the super sharp hooks, the ultra buoyant passion fruit and isotonic pop-ups, you too can come out to Crete Lakes or a lake very similar and have mega results just like this. Mwah. Thank you very much, Gail.